Good morning. How's everybody doing? We're going to switch it up this morning. I got this word I want to talk about. It got stuck in my head yesterday. I've been kicking it around, seeing if it had any merit, looking at the duality of it. And then I realized something. That's what I had a problem with. This wasn't a duality word. This wasn't a word that had two meanings. It had one. But it'd been cast as a negative. Isn't that weird? To create an entire word and an entire concept that's good and then take it and shove it into the bad bag and call it a triangle. Most people don't like triangles. Everybody seems to either be a square or a circle guy. No triangles, though. The word I want to talk about is strict. I even had to look up the definition because I thought I knew what it meant. But I wanted to make sure because I never thought about it before. We're in brand new territory right now. But this word itself, strict, what does the concept of strict come from? Discipline. How does discipline cause the word to exist? Lazy people. And when I realized that this concept existed so lazy people could make excuses, I figured I better get right into it. I'm going to have to swing at this one because I don't like lazy people. You know, be the best fuck up you can be. You know, if you're going to do something, do it right. Even if it's wrong, just do it right. You know, put your effort into it. Don't half ass nothing. That's strictness. This concept of strict, which means you have strict parents, there's strict rules you have to follow. This negative concept of you have to, you do this. That's not how they control anyone. They control everybody with money. It has nothing to do with discipline. In fact, the people that have the most money are the strictest people out there. And then it's called discipline. But as long as it's something we don't like, we call it strict. Is this weird? We're already sitting here in the middle of a pile of words that make no sense to me. I don't think they make sense to you anymore. I washed them off. Do you think they look the same? See, because to me, being strict means that, and here we go, it's my philosophy page. Being strict means that you don't allow yourself to fail. And you can only be strict about something that you've already failed and went back and learned how to do correctly, right? So you can almost say that people are strict about stuff unless they're control freaks, and that's a whole different video. Mechanically, if they're strict about a procedure, thank you for teaching me. If because they have a certain kind of hurt, they want to be a certain kind of person and they only want those kind of people in their life and they don't let anybody else in their life unless they vibe on that same level, that's self-preservation. That's self-love. That's not being strict. So I was trying to figure it out. I was like, how is there a word in the dictionary and the only thing it does is give us a sense of something we don't want? How is the definition of discipline? You say, that's a different word. Fuck all. Show me where the difference is. The only difference is your opinion on whether it's good or not. If it's good, it's discipline. If it's bad, it's strict. Nobody uses the word strict in a positive way. And you could. You could say a person is so strict on their exercise that they stay in shape. You could say That person over there is so strict on their diet that they don't have high blood pressure because they don't put a bunch of sugar in there. You could say that people are strict on going to work every day and they make sure that no matter what else is going on, hungover or not, they go to work. They're very strict about it. No, we'd use the word discipline, wouldn't we? Why do we have words in the dictionary that are only there to give us a negative reflection? Why wouldn't it say in the definition of the dictionary about strict that depending on your mental view of the situation, instead of strictness, it can be considered discipline? And then considered something that constrains you, it's something you learn to be a better human being. Why is it that we got a word sitting there in the dictionary and it doesn't do anything positive for any of us? Not as a concept, not as a word, not as a way to communicate. No one likes it when someone's being strict. But they're all fucking ears when they want to learn the discipline. Does anybody else see something wrong with this? Anybody else find humor in this at all? Is it just me? I don't think it's just me. I think I'm going to start going through the dictionary like I have been and just start destroying it. If it doesn't have to do with thought, then it's up in the air. If they can get you, and when I mean they, I mean anyone that's not you. If anyone can get you to think other than who you are, get you to be somebody else, well, then they did it. But if you're strict with yourself and you don't, how do I put this? How do I put this? I don't want to preach at you. I don't have a God to preach at you from. So, in being strict, if you decide to be a certain kind of person in that strictness and you refuse to go outside of it and you create negative things because of your strictness, because of your discipline, you're creating negative things. You're fucking the world up. I think that should be in the definition of strictness and discipline. These words mean the same thing. However, depending on the total outcome, the sum total of the action, the reaction, if you're disciplined or strict about something and it causes negativity in the world, you're an asshole. It has nothing to do with the mechanical way of being disciplined in an action. Nothing. It's all about intent. The only negative that goes with strictness is when there's a set of rules, that's just my opinion, that don't make sense, aren't the most efficient and best way to do it, and cause some people to lose so other people can gain. Capitalism. Only then is the strictness bad. Only then is it a negative that I want to talk about. Only under that parameter do I consider it something that needs to be looked at and fixed. You're disciplined? I don't want to fix that. You're disciplined and hurting people? I'm going to fucking punch you in your mouth. See the difference? Be as strict as you want, as long as you don't limit free thought. Action, listen, I'm going to be honest with you. This is my opinion. Any action you take, you chose to take, even if you don't realize that you did so. I don't hold anybody accountable for things they make people do. You chose to do it. You could have just punched that person in the mouth. You could have walked away. Could have went to the hole. I don't care. You didn't have to choose that action or those words. You chose to do so. But I got a real problem with think there's people who are smarter than me, who think they're going to get over on me and lie to me and tell me things that aren't true. And through no rationality of their own, present truths to me that absolutely aren't true, and then tell me based on the parrot that they've become that somehow I must listen. That's what philosophy is, the ability to fight with your mind. It's the greatest form of warfare. Now, I believe in honesty and transparency. I don't have a problem with that. I like to be direct in your face and tell you exactly how it is at all times. That's just my way that I communicate. It's the way that I teach. It's the way that I everything. So I'm like the polar opposite of a fucking liar. So in that regard, I look at everything as it is. I don't try to sugarcoat it or want it to be something it isn't or need it to be something based on something I have to have or need to have or it's just gonna be me, like none of the instant gratification. And this comes through being strict with myself. And only because I played it real loose. Strictness is a mindset that I think that probably you should learn. In fact, I think it's so important that almost every video, or at least enough that you couldn't miss it, I've talked to you about changing behavior patterns and how it takes 61 days. It's the only strictness I think humans should have to think. It's the only discipline I think is worthy in this world. Everything else is like a side mission. But how you think who you really are as a human being doesn't matter how tough you get, how scholarly you get, how deep dived into a certain aspect of one version of reality in a very pseudoscience or very serious science, either one. I think all that's beautiful, but you can only have adventures if you're strict in allowing yourself to have adventures. You get that? The very idea of feeling grateful is because every day I get up and find something to be grateful for. And after 61 days, it's an automatic thing to start thinking about grateful things. It's something that really exists in our psychosis, in our memories, in our muscle memory, and everything. And it's all based on discipline. They say discipline's, but you've been disciplined. No, I was abused. And so are you because of the way you speak, and you can't even understand you shouldn't hurt a child and you shouldn't make kids fucking cry. You don't make them weak. The world will take care of that. It's not your fucking job to hurt kids. It's not your job to punish kids. It's not your job to be very strict with them. It's the only point in time in their lives, in any way, shape, or form, that they get a chance to be free before society fucks them up. And I honestly think most of you adults that fuck with kids, you're just fucking haters. You hate the fact that they have youth and you don't. You hate the fact they haven't fucked up and you have. You hate the fact that they're smarter than you already because they still understand what love is and you were dumb enough to forget. My version of being strict with kids is make sure they don't die and make sure they take responsibility and they stop long enough to think about it when they're doing something that's antisocial, self harm, verbal harm to someone else, any of these things require a simple thought process to fix. You can't beat it out of them. You can't yell at them. None of it was ever going to work. And you know it, but you still have some idea of strict being something that your parents were to you. Fuck, it's even in the dictionary. They use it as an example. When you think of strict, think of how your parents treated you and didn't let you do anything you wanted and made you. That's the dumbest shit. They didn't need to make discipline and strictness. They didn't make one word that defined both. And then based on your perception of the fucking situation, whether it was good or bad. If someone's being strict in a bad way, I rebel immediately. I just let them know they're dumb. And I don't even have to do it rudely. It's not about confrontation or being right. It's about speaking truth on what is truth. And if the truth that you speak on doesn't match up how they feel about it, fuck them. If you can't take new input, fuck them. If you can't take other people's honest opinions and look at it and see if it fits better than what you got going on, fuck you. I don't even care. You aren't even qualified to have an argument with me because you can't see outside of the bubble you created. That's a you problem. It's not a me problem. I'm not obligated to fucking see how you feel or to call you in any way, shape, or form. You need help, I'll be the first person to help you. I'll be the first person to shit on you too if you act like an asshole. How does this have anything to do with discipline? How does this have anything to do with strictness? Because I always do it. It's an absolute. And because I have these mindsets, I'm an action, not a reaction. Because I have disciplines and what I will and will not allow in my life. Because I'm very strict about the type of people someone must be just to get through the fucking door to be my friend. I don't have drug addict friends anymore. Do you know why? Because there was never scenarios that were created that were positive. Every last one of them was based on getting high and making money or escaping of some sort, hiding, pretending you didn't exist in the real world. All of those things, all of those people. So I don't have any drug addict friends. That's why I'm sitting around. And that's a good thing to have. That's a good strictness. I'm grateful for being strict with myself because it took years, but my whole life leveled out. So this is what you had to figure out when you're being strict. So what I'm doing affecting my life negatively. Do I want these things to change? And is it anything that I'm doing repetitively? Remember the definition of insanity. Doing the same thing over and over again and expecting different results. So you pair that in when you look at your strictness and you look at your disciplines, and you should be able to see which ones are good and which ones are destructive. And sometimes destruction's good, but a discipline that destroys you is never good. A discipline that fights against some part of your life that you don't like, keep going. I just want to get on here and talk with you guys a little bit. I felt like it wasn't some low hanging fruit. It was a word that nobody ever even talks about. They just used it in a sentence and move on. It's like we have all these layers of words that mean something that you could take and you could morph them into anything else. You could flip them over and turn them around and put some makeup on them. You can do whatever you want, right? But if you present me a word, if you present me an idea, if you present me a thought process, and the only thing behind the thought process is this is negative, I'm going to look at it. If it's negative, it's negative. I'm going to agree with you. But if it's not negative, if it's in turn something that like all the greats of any profession or any meditation or any religion or anything have ever done, which is discipline, it's almost like anything that would make you better as a human being, that would make you more in tune with yourself, that would make you more of a free thinker, that would make you go outside of the bubble that they want you to live in. It's almost like all those words are defined as something you shouldn't do, you shouldn't look at, you shouldn't go towards. Now, a lot of people understand discipline. A lot of people have a lot of discipline. It's really good. They're really healthy, balanced human beings. No disagreement. But they still think the word strict is bad. So, how can you be all the way in the positive if you're still believing that good things are bad? How can you have an unobscured view of something if you yourself have never stopped to consider what you think is truth? It doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. It's not the word I want to use. It's irrelevant if you're right or wrong. It's irrelevant if you want to change something or not. But if you don't have the idea that there's two sides to it, you're only going to think about it one way. And the second you create a duality to think of something so it can bounce back and forth, that's the only thing that I think is a war. Nothing else. How we think, what we think things are. Definition to truth. And in between definition to truth is where they've started to create all these divides and these different ideas and these different things. There's some really intelligent people that are fucking humanity up with the way that they say things and the way they present ideas and information. This whole hide the truth and give them a lie. Every one of these videos shows you one. I'm going to be able to make, how many words are in the dictionary? I bet I can make a video on every word. I bet I will. I'm never going to run out of content. At some point, people will start commenting and we'll start having some good conversations. Until then, I'm just going to go ahead and knock the whole world down. I don't care. I got nothing better to do. I got a whole book of words, and I disagree with a bunch of them. And I got a 100% track record when something bothers me speaking on it. And right now, sitting here thinking about discipline and being strict, thinking about that duality that they created when it's not duality at all. It's your perception on what you're trying to create or destroy. Their words are used to destroy free thought. They're not even trying to destroy anything other than you thinking in a duality nature towards everything you encounter. It's always one way. And as long as it's one way, then you're trapped. And it's not even that you know you're trapped or you're dumb or anything else, but you're absolutely trapped because they're teaching you not to think dually. You're like, what are you, crazy? You're one person. For every action, there's an equal and opposite reaction. For every thought process, there must be another thought process. So if they shut down how you think about something and say it's the end of the road right here, and there's a bunch of shit right past that fucking sign, the sign is the lie. The rest of the truth's still there. You can go figure it out. You can sit down and think about it. You can work out shit. But here's the barrier, and it ain't shit. It's just a fucking sign that says there's nothing past here. And they're relying on control through this mode of communication, nothing more. Putting up fucking stop signs that say there's nothing else down this way. And there is. And every time I go past a stop sign and I find all this new truth and all these different things to reflect on, every time I do it, it lets me know that it's not just some of the time. It's not just a few things that are altered here and there. It's the entire language. It's the entire language and the way that it's structured to keep you thinking a certain way. It has nothing to do with action, reaction, none of that. It's just about understanding that based on how you think and believe, you will create into the world that way. And they want money and they want power and they want people isolated. And the words that they use and the definitions they put in the dictionary are how it's being done. So all you smart people out there think you know what time it is. Why don't you go back and re-examine all those things you know for sure from this other side of the view? Do like I just did. Find another word that's the positive side and see if the positive and the negative one actually go together. And it's really just one word and it's based on perception. And as soon as you start playing with the dictionary like this, you're going to feel as lost as I am when it comes to what the fuck is going on.